The title of this video is Follow-Up. It has just become so very real to me that doctors who've been in practice for a long time, 5, 10, 15 years, you have contacted so many people in your community and connected with them who had back problems, neck problems, shoulder problems, knee problems, exactly the problems that you treat in your office. And more than likely, you have paid for these leads, either through paid advertising, you did a dinner talk, maybe you did an event. In some cash outlay, you actually received this lead and you paid for this lead. And what happens is the leads, if they don't show up or they don't come in or they don't close, they kind of get taught, I kind of say whisked into the trash can, basically is what happens. And then one wants more leads. So send me another lead, send me another lead, send me another lead. So when I look at practices who've been in business for a long time, I'm like, wow, they don't have a trash can this big. They have a garbage truck full of leads that they think is garbage, but it's not. And this is what I talk about in the boiling pot, right? Is that these leads that you've already paid for in the past. So here I want to talk about follow-up, because what should happen, or the ideal scene, is when the lead comes in to your office and they don't show up. Let's say they don't show up, you scheduled them from an event or a dinner talk, or they showed up for a little bit, their first day and decided not to have care, whatever the reason is, and then it gets swiped off into the trash can. That in between of the lead coming in and swiping it to the trash can is where I call follow-up. That is the follow-up process where you actually get the lead in the door. And there's a misconception that when a lead schedules that they're going to come in, and that if they don't come in, they don't want to come in anymore and they're never going to come in again. That is the misconception. And this is where I want to disabuse you of that misconception. People schedule, people have problems and they schedule. No question, that's exactly what happens. So I'm going to repeat that. People have problems they're trying to solve, back pain, neck pain, knee pain, whatever it is, they want to solve, and they have a good intention at the time that they schedule to come in. So they have a good intention. See the intention? This is the arrival. And then life gets in the way and knocks them out and they don't arrive. They still want to solve their problem. They still have the intention to solve their problem. They don't arrive. But what happens in the office many times is the front desk person or the case manager or the marketer or whoever it is just assumes they don't want to come in anymore, and they kind of sweep them off, okay? And if you don't have a CRM, which is a customer relationship management software to house these leads, they literally just kind of get lost. They're just gone forever, this whole list of people. If you've listened to enough of Grant Cardone, it takes anywhere from 5 to 12 contacts to get the lead to show up. Only 2% of the leads will actually arrive by just scheduling them and giving them a quick reminder call. 2% will just arrive on their own. Grant Cardone says it takes anywhere from 5 to 12 follow-ups to close a person. Well, that philosophy or that thought process can also be applied to getting somebody to arrive, because remember, you have the follow-up to the close, but you also have the follow-up to the schedule. So most clients, when I talk to them, they tell me, their show-up rate is around 50%, 60% of their new patients, okay? So if they schedule 10 new patients, 5 or 6 show up. The ones who tell me they have a 100% show rate are usually the doctors that have 3 or 4 new patients a week scheduled. Well, I'm sorry, but if you only have 3 or 4 new patients a week scheduled, it's not hard to get them to show up. It's when you have 20 or 25 new patients scheduled a week, you start hitting that 50% arrival range is what happens. So if you want to scale your practice at all or grow your practice at all, you got to have more than 3 or 4 new patients scheduled a week. You need to have 10, 15, 20 new patients scheduled a week, which brings in that problem of follow-up or the trash can. So what happens is when you have 3 or 4 new patients a week scheduled, it's very easy for your staff to hunt them down, chase them down, find them, do whatever it takes to bring them in. When it starts to be 10 new ones, 15, 20 new ones on the schedule each week, and 10 of them are showing up, everybody feels great because 10 new patients showed up. But the opportunity that of the other 10 got lost because it got pushed into the trash can. And so if you can just think with that, everybody who has ever scheduled on your schedule in the last 3, 4, 10 years was an opportunity that was missed if they got tossed into the trash can. And more than likely, I'm going to just put a pin in it, more than likely 70% of those leads are still walking around with the same problem. We know what the system looks like out there. It doesn't actually solve anything. So they're probably still walking around the same problem, still searching for a solution. So in the follow-up process, there's 2 parts here. I'm going to tell you what to do on the front end and how to revitalize the back end. So when somebody schedules to come in, okay, great. Say you have a 50% show rate, okay? So you have 10 scheduled, 5 show up. Those other 5 go into the follow-up process. And in that follow-up process, it is the calling, the texting, the emailing, whatever it takes to get them in. And in the follow-up process, you can't do the same thing over and over again. That's where offices go wrong. The front desk calls and leaves a message and says, this is so-and-so, this is Susie from ABC Clinic. You missed your appointment and I want to reschedule it. So this is Susie from ABC Clinic and let me make you wrong and tell you you missed your appointment. See, I don't know about you, but now I'm like feeling bad, and she just reminded me that I feel bad and I do not want to call this woman back. So you go wrong right there. And then she does it again 2 days later. You missed your appointment, you missed your appointment, you missed your appointment, you missed your appointment. And at this point, I'm like, I am never going in that office because all I know is Susie's going to say something to me about missing that appointment. So instead, it's a creative. It's like, hey, the first call when the appointment is missed, hey, listen, I just want to give you a call. You know what? I'm sure there was traffic, could have been. Maybe, I'm not sure if maybe you couldn't find the place, but listen, I want to follow up. I want to get you back on the schedule. I'll make sure you have some good directions. Do you see I've given this person an out for missing the appointment, that they're not wrong? And then if they still don't call me back, then they're going to get a text. Hey, this is Susie, da-da-da. Listen, I would just want to be able to get you rescheduled. I know that you wanted help. You follow up with a text. And you follow up with an email. And then you send them a video testimonial. But every one of these leads you've paid for. So think about it. You could have paid $100 for one of these leads, right? And so instead of take that $100 bill and throwing it in the trash can, right? You have a follow-up process. Just that a follow-up process takes a little organization. If there's no organization and no commitment to the follow-up process, the leads drift off into that trash can again. So, follow-up process. If you don't have a CRM, just use an Excel spreadsheet. Not a problem. Every new patient that schedules goes on the Excel spreadsheet. Simple. You make a column. Did they arrive or not? Then you do your other columns, and your other columns are the reminder call, if they missed, the appointment was missed, the day it was missed, and then it could just say call, text, whatever you want on that tab that you can see. Someone just literally has to pull up the Excel spreadsheet and just start going down and making those calls. And what I suggest on tab 2 is you actually have some maybe video testimonials of some of your patients. Maybe you have some cool articles or tidbits or tips for somebody on, on proper lifting, something like that, so that Susie is not continuing to just say, I want to schedule your appointment, maybe you got lost. I want to schedule your appointment, maybe we got lost. I want to schedule your appointment, maybe you got lost. You got to mix it up and you got to be creative. And the more creative that Susie can be, the better the chance that on the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th time she contacts them, boom, they're in the office. See, now that's the front end of follow-up, and that's the front end. And I've actually heard offices, right? Some of the bigger offices who schedule, anywhere from 10 or 15 new patients a week, and like 5 don't show up. So do the math on this. 5 don't show up this week, so you have to follow up with them 4 times. Okay, that's 20 phone calls. The next week, 5 don't show up. Well, that's 20 phone calls plus the calls from the week before. So now we're up to 30 phone calls. And then 5 don't show up the next week. Do you see how this thing snowballs? That what happens is they get whisked into the trash. So I know some of the bigger practices, they literally have one person on this whole process. And their new patients, when they look back at it, they have like a 90% show rate at these high schedule rates. Like they normally schedule 20 patients a week, new patients a week, and they have like 18 show because there's one person specifically on follow-up. Because think about it, you have paid for this lead. Somebody at $15 or $20 an hour that does nothing but follow-up, it is so worth the money. So that's my tip 1 on follow-up. Now I'm going to tell you, what do you do with the trash can? Maybe it's a garbage can. I don't really know. Maybe it's a dumpster. How big is it? I don't really know. But you literally will start from last week and you'll go backwards. And where you find them is on your schedule. Just go into your scheduling software. You're going to see them there. Hopefully somebody didn't wipe them out, right? But you're going to see them there, and you're going to see them either turned red or they didn't show, and you're going to put them on an Excel spreadsheet. And you start building the Excel spreadsheet. If you do dinner talks or you do outside events and you happen to have a sheet of paper they filled out, okay, you can pull them from there. But you should be able to find a good amount of these leads to start the Excel spreadsheet. And then you just need to create a few scripts, okay? My tip to you is don't just let Susie ad-lib, okay? Because what that does is then each day, whatever mood Susie's in or whatever she's doing, if she's hurried or not, she's kind of changing it up. And then what will happen is the script becomes very altered. So come up with some basic scripts that you can just have her call, like the first call, the second call, the third call, the text, some video assets, and just have it there. And on that Excel spreadsheet on the second tab, just have it all right there. So she can just look and see this person, this is the 5th time I'm reaching out. And when she turns to the second tab, she can see that that's a video. And it says, hey, was thinking about you. Look at this patient win. Maybe we can help you. Give us a call, and you attach a patient win. It's pretty simple, okay? You just need someone to work it. So to kind of recap on follow-up, you guys pay for a ton of leads. A ton of leads. And if you've been in business for 5, 10, 15 years, this is millions of dollars you've spent on marketing for leads that a good chunk of them got put in the trash can without really going after those leads to show up. And so with this process, one, you're gonna, what I say, stop the trash can dumping immediately when you create this week. So create it this week, the Excel spreadsheet, and no more let leads get tossed into the trash can until they've been contacted 12 times. Okay, at least give it 12 times, okay? Then you can maybe put them on pause for a little bit, but then you go back at them again 3 months later, because at some point they're going to want their problem solved. And you are going to be the one that when they go, oh, my back is bothering me or my neck is bothering me, they're gonna go, that Susie calls me all the time and that Susie sends me data all the time. I'm gonna respond to her next time, or I'm gonna call Susie because I know she's the one. And they're going to come in and be your new patient, not somebody else's new patient. That's how you handle it now. Stop the bleeding now. Don't even worry about the past. Just stop it now, get the systems in place and stop it. Once you know for sure that it's stopped, then start going backwards into that database of yours, into your scheduling system, start adding names on the list. I gotta tell you, when Mike and I were in business, we always had somebody on this post doing this, and they literally would get 2 or 3 new patients a week easily from this old list. So yeah, go for it. Do your follow-up. You paid for those leads. Go get those patients, help them out.